Hey Cable Cubs, Mrs. Hoffer here. Welcome back from spring break. I'm going to be working with you on this week's English language skill lesson. The goal of today's lessons are that you will know the sounds and the names of the letters that you were shown. You'll understand how to track print of a story from left to right as you read and go along with me, so you can identify key information from a story, like its characters, the events that are happening, the setting, so the place that it's taking place, and you'll be able to read the tricky word funny. So friends, to get started, I want to review the three sounds above, and we're going to do it together with doing some hand gestures that help us do these sounds. This is the sound eh, 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 and these are the short vowel sounds, friends. Eh, eh. This is ah, 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 ah. Do it with me. Ah, ah. And this is ah, like a circle in your mouth. Ah. Good job, friends. Now we are going to review the sounds of a single letter or digraph, so two letters together that make a sound that we see on the page that we have learned. And you are going to answer by saying the sound on the page. We're going to answer by saying the letter on the page is blank. So, for example, this is the letter E. So we'd say the letter on the page is E. The sound it makes is eh. Let's keep going, Kilo Cubs. The letter on the page is I. The sound it makes is I. What's this one? The letter on the page is A. The sound it makes is ah. Good job. The letter on the page is O. The sound it makes is ah. The letter on the page is U. The sound it makes is Now this is our first digraph, Keeple Cubs. Tell me, what are the letters on the page? The letters on the page are C and H, and the sound they make is ch. Good job. What's this? The letter on the page is V. The sound it makes is V. That's right. What is this one, Keeple Cubs? The letters on the page are S and H, and the sounds they make together is sh. Good job. What's this one, friends? The letter on the page is P. The sound it makes is P. What's with this one, Keeple Cubs? The letters on the page are T and H. The sound they make is V. What's this one, friends? The letter on the page is D. The sound it makes is D. What's this one, Keeple Cubs? The letter on the page is M. The sound it makes is M. What's this digraph, Keeple Cubs? The letters on the page are N and G. The sound they make is ng. Good job, friends. What's this? The letter on the page is T. The sound it makes is T. How about this one, Keeple Cubs? The letter on the page is G. The sound it makes is G. What about this one? What's this digraph, Keeple Cubs? The letters on the page are Q and U, and the sounds these two together makes us qu. Good job, friends. What's this letter? This is the letter J, and the sound it makes is J. What about this one? The letter on the page is N. The sound it makes is N. Okay, friends, so now for this next part of the lesson, we're going to review the tricky words that we have learned so far in our past English skills lessons. Remember, friends, most words in English play by the rules. So that means they're pronounced or sounded out exactly the way you would expect them to be, but some do not. Words that do not play by the rules are called tricky words. Tricky, friends, means that you can't sound out that part of the word that way that you would think it could usually be pronounced. But, friends, usually only one or two letters of the word are tricky, not the whole word. I'm going to put the tricky words that we have learned so far on the screen so we can review. When you see the words friends, you'll see some of the letters are underlined. The parts of words that are underlined are tricky, so they can't be sounded out exactly how you would expect them to. Let's begin, Keeble Cubs. What is this tricky word? The whole thing is underlined, so it can't be sounded out. This is the tricky word one. What's this tricky word? Two. Good job. We saw 1 and 2. What's this one? It's all underlined, so it can't be sounded out. This is the tricky word 3. Good job. What about this one? Not all of it's underlined, so the part that isn't underlined, Keeble Cubs, you can sound out. The part that is underlined is pronounced E or So it's th and E or th and It makes the word the or the. That's right. Good job. What's this one? It's one letter, but it's also a whole word. It's the word or a. That's right. Good job. This is a color, Keeble Cubs, and it's all tricky. Can you remember which this color or this word is? Like the sky? It's blue. That's right. So we know this is a tricky word, blue. What's this tricky word? Some of it is underlined and some of it's not. That means it's not all tricky sounds. This is the word yellow. Good job, friends. This is the tricky word look, Keeble Cubs. This is another tricky word that we've learned that is just one letter. What is this one? This is the word I. That's right, friends. Good job. What about this, Keeble Cubs? What's this word? Do you remember this tricky word? This is the tricky word R. That's right, Keeble Cubs. Good job. R. What's this one, friends? This is the tricky word little. That's right. We see some of it's underlined, so some of it's tricky and some of it's not. Do you remember what this tricky word is, Keeble Cubs? This is the tricky word down, like going down in a direction. What about this one, friends? What's this tricky word? This is the tricky word out, like get out of here. That's right, friends. Good job. Okay, what do you think this one is? It's all underlined, so it's all tricky. This is of, Keeble Cubs. This is the word of. Good job. All right, friends. So now it's time for this week's tricky word. I really like this week's tricky word because it means that you might be laughing about something. It's something that might make you laugh. Something, an emotion or a descriptive word. So we see that some of it is underlined, and that means it's tricky. So if it's tricky, it can or it can't be pronounced, Keeble Cubs. Tell me. It can't be pronounced. That's right. So this part can be, you can sound this out. It's n. This second N is silent, so we don't say n again. And this Y is pronounced like E. So usually you'd read this and you say n, yeah. But it's actually pronounced e. What is this word, Keeble Cubs? Funny. That's right. Like something that would make you laugh. This is the word funny, Keeble Cubs. Good job. So now we know this week's tricky word, and if we see it in a reading, a book, or story, we know that this word reads funny. Good job, Keeble Cubs. Okay, friends, next we're going to be reading a story together. Here on our screen, we see our cover page of today's book. Here, friends, this is the title of today's book. Tell me, what does this title in red say? The book is called Sam. That's right. And the title, Keeble Cubs, tells us about the story, or the book, what the book is going to be about. So if the title tells us about the book and the title's called Sam, what's the book going to be about? It's going to be about this boy named Sam. That's right. Good job, friends. Remember, there are also other important pages and information that we need to look at in a book or be able to follow so we can take key information out of the stories that we are reading together. So, for instance, like we're about to see, there's a title page, which tells you the the story's title. So not the book's title, sometimes the story, because sometimes books have more than one story in them. So it tells you the story's title. It might tell you some important information as to who wrote the story. And also, if you look at the bottom pages of the story, you can see the story's some numbers, and that's the page numbers, Keeble Cubs, so we can follow along and make sure we're on the right pages of the story. Okay, so like we just said, we're going to see the title pages of today's story, and this is the title of the story. So we know this is Sam, and this says, and the fish. So we know that today's story is called Sam and the Fish. And we also see on the bottom corners page numbers. And those are the page numbers of today's story. So we know the first page of the story says 2. So the story starts on 2 and the first picture is on 3. Keeble Cubs, we heard in the goal that we have the practice tracking as we read. So we're going to read the story twice. Once I'm going to read it, then we're going to read it again together, and you have to follow along with my pointer as we go. So for example, it says, this is Sam, and we're going to follow along as we track with print. Friends, these are some sounds or digraphs right here on this top level that we have learned so far. And this is the sh and ng. And we're going to be seeing these words that contain these digraphs in today's story. This is the word this, then, fish, brings, and swings. So we'll see these words in today's story, and we need to recognize and be able to read them because they contain the sounds and digraphs that we have already learned, Keeble Cubs. Now we're going to review 2 words that we're going to see in the story because it's important that we understand what they mean before we start reading. So sound out the word that we have on the screen, Keeble Cubs, and tell me what it says. This is the word pond, friends. That's right. And pond, friends, is a small lake. Like somewhere you could go swimming on a hot day or somewhere you could go fishing. And next, this is the last word we're going to review, Keeble Cubs. This is the word rod. And a rod, Keeble Cubs, like a fishing rod, is something that you use to go fishing to catch fish. Okay, friends, it is finally time to begin reading our book, Sam. Today's story, like we heard in the book, Sam, is going to be called Sam and the Fish. And the story today is about Sam and his dad going fishing. Make sure to pay extra close attention to the story, friends, so afterwards you can tell me where Sam and his dad go fishing. Let's get started. Okay, friends, so now time for our story, Sam and the Fish. I will be following each word as I read it along with my pointer. This is Sam. Sam and his dad fish in a pond. Sam's dad brings a rod. Sam brings a net. The fish jumps. The fish twists and swims. Sam's dad tugs on the rod. The fish swims past Sam. Sam swings his net. Sam lifts up the net. The fish is in the net. Sam and his dad grin. All right, friends, now we're going to read Sam and the Fish once more again, but this time together. Friends, you might have noticed when I read it to you the first time that some of the words had some parts that were underlined. And that's because this part of the word that are underlined, these parts are the tricky words and the tricky parts of the words that cannot be sounded out. The word a, for example, is underlined because the whole word is tricky. In the word the only letter. So, friends, for example, you might see the word the whole thing is underlined. But when you see the word only the E in it is underlined because it's the only part of the word that can't be sounded out. So, let's get started following and reading along together, pausing and pointing out our tricky words. This is Sam. Sam and his dad fish in, what is this tricky word, friends? A or that's right, pond. Sam's dad brings a rod. Sam brings, that's right, net. Sam and his dad sit and sit. Then zap. Sam's dad gets a remember, fish. Friends, remember, what tricky word is this? That's right. And we see that only the E here, the sound in this word is underlined because that is tricky. But we know the T and H here makes the sound. So the fish jumps. The fish twists and swims. Sam's dad tugs on the rod. The fish swims past Sam. Sam swings his net. Sam lifts up the net. The fish is in the net. Sam and his dad grin. The end.
Keeper Cubs, I hope you liked the story Salmon Fish and that you were practicing reading along with me and tracking the print from left to right, and also noticing the important information and features of the story. So now, if to test the knowledge, so the things that you learned from the story and how you were listening, let's answer some questions together, Keeper Cubs. First question is going to be, who are the main characters of the story, friends? Tell me. Who do you think the main characters of the story we just read are? That's right, friends. Sam and his dad are the main characters in this story, Sam and the Fish. Good job. Next, Keeble Cubs, tell me, what is the setting of the story? Remember, look back at the stories. You can even pause this video and rewind if you'd like to go back to the story when we were reading and look at the pictures if you're having any difficulty. What did the illustration show us? The setting is at a pond. That's right, Keeble Cubs, a small lake where Sam and his dad go to fish. Good jobs. And Keeble Cubs, tell me, who brings a rod to the pond? Sam's dad brought the rod. That's right, a fishing rod, Keeble Cubs, which we learned that we used to go fishing with. Good job. Tell me, Keeble Cubs, what does Sam bring to the pond? Sam brought a net. That's right, friends. Good job. So his dad brought the fishing rod and Sam brought the net. Good job. And next question, friends, is what do you think the word grin means? Go back and look at the illustration on page 9 and come back and tell me, what do you think a grin means, Keeple Cubs? Good job, friends. That's right. A grin is another word for smile. So you might hear someone say that someone's grinning, and that's just like saying someone's smiling. Good job, friends. Tell me, can you tell me what in the illustration on page 9 let you know that a grin is a smile? Let me know. Friends, after today's lesson, you should be able to recognize the sounds and letters of the digraphs that we saw on the screen. So you recognize the letters and the sounds that they make. You're able to track print and understand and get key information out of stories like characters and settings, and key information from a book and story like a title page or the numbers at the bottom of the page. Keep up the great work, Keeple Cubs, and I'll see you tomorrow. That's all for today's lesson. Bye, friends.